Wax's podcast, talking mad shit about uninteresting facts. Wax's podcast, listen to it every Wednesday or whatever day this comes out. I don't know what day this podcast is going to come out, y'all. Welcome back after a 6.5 or something like that year hiatus. Wax's podcast is back. I got a video element to it. I'm looking at it now. I don't even know if the video is straight. But you know what? Sometimes I don't even know if I'm straight. No, I am straight. I'm a straight male, as evidenced by the fact that I have a child. The last time I did a podcast was in 2019. It's 2025 now, and a lot of things have changed, not only in my life, but in the world. The way I'm doing my podcast, even the fact that I have a video, this is very unnatural to me. It's already hard enough that I'm trying to bring back my podcast, a podcast in which I just ramble. I should have done a vocal warm-up. A podcast in which I just ramble for who knows how long I'm going to ramble today. My old format, for those people that didn't listen to my podcast many, many years ago, when I did 173 episodes of it, apparently, the standard format was I would ramble for about 30 minutes, and then I would take questions from the audience. The questions would be emailed to me at beatsforwax@gmail.com, not the number 4, BAETSFORWAX@gmail.com. Send me a question if you want me to answer your question. But I would ramble for about a half an hour, and then I would answer questions for another half an hour. It'd be about an hour-long podcast, something like that. It's a direct ripoff. Back in the day, I used to listen to Bill Burr's podcast, and it's a direct ripoff of his format. Not that this was like some crazy format. You're just talking and answering questions. It's the same kind of format that probably talk shows had since the 1950s or whenever television came out. Anyway, I'm back. I'm going to try to bring back my podcast. There's many reasons for this. One reason, probably the most important reason, is popular demand. Believe it or not, I've been going to these shows. I had a few different shows recently. I've had shows over the past few years, and one of the most common things that people ask me at the merchandise table is, why'd you stop doing the podcast? When are you going to bring back the podcast? Things like that. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And shout out to my man Quinn, who shoots all my videos. He kind of encouraged me to try this podcast format and bringing it back and whatnot. So he is really the reason to actually get me off my ass, have a tripod set up with a camera, and I even have a light hitting me to make me look like my true Hollywood self. The vision of a movie star that you're seeing right now through the beautiful lens of white light is something that was suggested by him. So yeah, at Murdy Media, if you want to thank him, he's the whole reason I'm bringing this podcast back. And hopefully this looks good and sounds good. If you watched, or you wouldn't have watched my podcast before, there was no video element. Many times I'd just be in my underwear, picking my nose, and just, clipping my toenails or something like that while I was talking shit. Oh, shit. This is going to be a problem if that's the case. I just got a new computer, y'all. And I guess my text message is hooked up through that computer, and I just got a text message and I heard a loud-ass ding in these headphones. So, I also have been eating too much dairy today. So I should have done a vocal. I should have done a lot of things, y'all. I should have done a vocal warm-up. I should have tested more things in terms of my computer. I don't really like how everything is connected now. Like, I got a new computer, and like it already knows all my passwords from my old computer. I didn't plug anything in from my old computer. Who else knows my passwords? Everybody knows I might as well just say my password, which, by the way, is one password to fucking everything that I have, from my bank to my MySpace. Probably not my MySpace, but you know what I'm saying. I got the same password for everything, and probably a trillion AI robots that work for Meta all go into my bank account every day and are still trying to figure out how they can take my money without me finding out, and also how they can take money when there isn't anything in the bank account. Hopefully they're stealing my negative account in my credit card account. They're stealing my debt. Anyway, I'm back. Triumphantly or not, Wax's podcast is back. I got a video now. We'll see if I say anything interesting. I'm just going to ramble for a while. I don't really have anything. It's crazy. My last podcast was 2019, so it's like, what's happened since then? I don't know if we're going to edit that out or not, or just let you listen to that. I drank a Starbucks coffee with cream in it, and it just... Anybody? I'm doing a podcast. I think I heard my wife knock at the door, and I don't even think she did. I think I heard a phantom knock. Just hearing noises. Keep getting sidetracked. But yeah, since 2019, that was my last podcast. You might ask yourself, hey, has anything changed in the world? Has there been any interesting events that have occurred since 2019? There was only a worldwide pandemic. The exit and return of President Donald Trump. In my own personal life, the year before that, I got sober off of alcohol. The year after that, last podcast was in 2019. In 2018, I quit drinking. In 2020, the pandemic happened. In 2021, I actually moved from LA to where I am now in San Diego. Met my wife, who was not my wife when I met her. That'd be weird if she was like, oh, I finally met you, husband. I met her, and then we got married, and then we had a child. Now I have an almost 2-year-old child, and I live in a townhouse in the fucking desert. That's what happened with me. As far as the world, I don't know what's going on, y'all. The world is so crazy and different than what I knew, especially in terms of the United States of America. It's so different than what I grew up with in terms of the norms and in terms of how we see ourselves in the world and shit like that. And it's so different and so confusing. And my life is so busy with my family, child, and career that I have opted recently. Opted might be a strong word, but I've become apathetic. In order to achieve any type of peace in my life, which is a difficult life, anybody that has a young child knows that, especially if you're trying to balance it with work and balance it with all the other things that come along with life. Like right now, I got to fix a cabinet. I can't believe that I didn't do any vocal warm up or something before this, but I got to fix a cabinet in my kitchen. I have things on the backlog of the to-do list that just come along with having a townhouse. Like my wife got a Ring camera. I got to install that on the front door. This was like 2 months ago that I was supposed to do that, to the point where the Ring camera was on the countertop, like basically like a to-do list in the form of like, if this shit needs to not be here because you hung it on the door. It's actually got to the point where I think that she gave up and put that Ring camera just in a drawer somewhere to make me feel not bad about not being a real man and doing stuff around the house. But I'm often gone for long periods of time because I am a touring musician, as some of you might know. Thanks to everybody who just came out to my shows on the East Coast. Philadelphia, New York, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, all over the place, Baltimore, Maryland. I do have more shows coming up, y'all, if you're watching this or listening to this. And October 11th hasn't happened yet. That's when the rest of my shows start, y'all. I have San Diego, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, a bunch of stuff in Canada. I might actually have some more stuff in Canada. I found out this morning I might have added a couple dates in Canada, so stay tuned for that. But I have Chicago, Minneapolis, Cleveland, Santa Cruz, Berkeley, Portland, Seattle, and Denver all coming up as well, y'all. I don't know how I'm going to handle doing all this stuff. I kind of like the dude from Office Space. I kind of like would rather just not do anything and just chill, you know. With some level of success comes just more stuff you got to do. And then you just do all this stuff and then you die. That's a sad way of looking at it. And even when you die, I think that when you die, your tombstone should just have the list of shit that you didn't do, like your to-do list stuff that's in your mind that you, like if I died today, my tombstone should just say, here lies Michael Jones. He never put the Ring camera on the door. And it would be it would be especially fitting if somebody robbed my house, somebody broke in the front because they saw that there's like, oh, this guy doesn't have a Ring camera. There's no security on this house. This is the perfect house to do an armed robbery on, because even if the guy's here, I could just shoot him and nobody would ever knew it was me because there is zero security. And even if there is a security system, I, hypothetical armed robber, don't know about it because the Ring camera that's really obvious and visible on the front door, that would be the thing that prevented me from even trying this, just because, like, why risk it? It's not here, so I'm going to go in, and when this guy, without any type of weapon or anything, tries to stop me, I simply shot him in his fucking head. And I tried to steal stuff from the house, but all I got was a microphone and a new white light. So now here I am. I'm a hypothetical armed robber having my podcast. It's called, my podcast is called The Ups and Downs of Burglary, starring hypothetical armed robber who killed Michael Jones, who he talked about on his podcast in a very meta way. Anyway, yeah, that burglar who killed me, I was going to say that my tombstone after that happened should say that I never installed the Ring camera, and also that I never fixed the cabinet in my kitchen, it just had a bad hinge, y'all. It just had a bad hinge. Sounds like a dating app, a date gone wrong, a bad hinge. For those of you who've been married for a long time and never got into the world of dating apps, Hinge is the name of a dating app, for those of you that don't know. It's like Tinder, but for people that are slightly more serious, but people go on Hinge. So a bad hinge would be a date that didn't go so well with somebody you met on that service. In my case, I just have a bad hinge in my cabinets. And now I got to fix that. Guess what? I don't know how to fucking fix it. I mean, I know, like, I look at it and I go, okay, well, the holes are like stripped. I could just simply lower where the hinge would be. But I don't know that that's like what a professional carpenter / kitchen craftsman would do. Sometimes I watch, very, very not often, but we did recently once watch a show that was like a home improvement show, and there was this couple, and the woman was a designer and the man was like a carpenter. So basically they're fixing up this old house, like flipping a house, and she had the idea of what she wanted to be, and he had to do what she wanted, which I thought was that could really spell trouble for a relationship. But he does all this shit. I'm like, how'd you learn that? How did you learn all the fundamentals of how a house is supposed to be built, from the foundation to the framing to the drywall to the electric to the plumbing? Like, how did you learn that? Like, I'm impressed by that shit, man. People that learn everything on the job. I mean, nowadays you could learn it you could probably learn how to build a house on YouTube, but most people, like, say you're a doctor, you learn that shit in school. Like, how do you know just like through instinct, through carpentry instinct, that this is how often you're supposed to space the fucking supports when you frame a wall? I have no idea. Speaking of having no idea, I have no idea what I'm talking about. For any of you guys that used to listen to my podcast, you know that I rant like this. Right now, I'm kind of like, say you were like an Olympic runner, and you used to run the fucking 40-yard dash and blah, blah, blah seconds. I don't want to say the exact number because I don't know what actually is good. Say you used to run a mile in fucking 10 seconds, which is about, you'd be a decent long distance runner, not one of the best in the world. But if you ran a mile in 10 seconds, and that was about your average when you used to be an Olympian, but then you stopped running for a while, and now you just got to get your footing, so to speak, and now you're at 12 seconds, 13 seconds, and you're like, God, this is the slowest I've ever run. But I'm like that. I'm still figuring out if I still have the ability. I'm not going to call it a talent, but I'm trying to still figure out if I still have the ability to just let my mouth run like a moron for an hour. I don't know. We're going to see. I remember when I first started doing a podcast, I was really, really self-conscious about how idiotic I sounded when I just talked about nothing, and I would constantly be switching subjects. But I think this time I'm just going to let it go. I'm actually recording myself in video form right now, which I never used to do in my old podcast. So hopefully I look great too. I'm thinking that maybe the way that you're seeing me, maybe because of depth perception, do I look like I have a huge knee? Am I doing too? Is my balls showing? Hopefully my balls aren't showing. Balls. Hopefully they're not showing. Anywho, I have my computer here that I wrote down a couple thoughts that I had. I used to write down, when I used to do my podcast every week, I would write down like thoughts that I have over the week that could possibly be potential fodder for the podcast. But I just decided like 2 days ago to do this podcast. So I'm kind of just going off the cuff. I have so many things I could talk about. Just the fact that I haven't been doing this for 6 years. I could tell you the story about my wife and my kid and everything like that. But let's see what I wrote down in the past like day or two. Okay. Costco. I don't know how many people out there are members of Costco. I'm not a big fan of Costco. When you go into the local Costco here where I live, especially if it's a busy time, you can't even fit through the fucking aisles. People have shopping carts that are the size of fucking army tanks, and they have paper towels. I'm like, how do you even get home? How are you transporting all this shit? What did you come here in? Everybody, I guess, has a pickup truck or whatever. Anyway, I only wrote down Costco because I find this interesting. My wife loves Costco, and to her credit, the more that Costco is like Los Angeles. I always say, like, people always hate LA, but if you live in LA for a while and you get used to it, it gives you a bad first impression. But when you're there for a while and you get used to it, you kind of start to see all of its good qualities, Like, they actually curate some of the stuff really well. They have a really good, this garlic salsa that you buy it by the fucking 60-gallon drum in there. It's really, really good. And a friend of mine was noting how Costco's not only about buying stuff in bulk for cheap, it's about how they curate. So, like, if they only got one type of toothpaste in there, somebody at the Kirkland fucking higher up department, probably Steve Kirkland himself, actually tested all the different toothpaste a la a fifth grade scientific experiment, and he might have hypothesized that Crest was the best. But once he actually ran his experiment, just like a fifth grade science project would have done, and he used Colgate, Crest, Tom's, he found out that only one of them was the best, and that's the only one they sell in Costco, and they sell it out of a fucking caulk gun sized toothpaste thing. Anyway, they do a good job with curation, but what I found interesting, you can pay a little bit more for your membership to be an executive member. There's a Costco regular member, and then there's a Costco executive member. And I love that they use executive because it makes it sound like you get like a parking spot in the front, and like you get to go on vacation once a year or something like that on Costco. But all it means is that, the average person with a regular membership can start shopping there at 10 a.m. when Costco officially opens. And if you have an executive membership, you can start at 9 a.m. So my wife went there this past Saturday with her executive membership, and she started shopping at 9 a.m. And guess what? At 9 a.m., all the other executives flew in from all the Costco executive offices around the world. There was Costco executive members from Sri Lanka and Singapore and all over the globe. And when I say that, I'm being sarcastic, and I mean that every local idiot in my desert area where I live was lined up at 9 a.m. on an average Saturday as if it was Black Friday at Walmart, and they had 0 memberships. And everybody pays extra so they can shop earlier. So, like, if you're Costco, you're like, damn, people are paying more to give us more money for more periods of time. I found that interesting. I feel like if you're an executive member, first of all, there should be less executive members. It shouldn't be like, okay, now executive members are fucking, it's crowded. It reminds me of one time I went to this was a long time ago, I went to a nightclub and there was a VIP section, and the VIP section was like shoulder to shoulder and you couldn't even get a drink. And then like the regular section that everybody didn't want to be in because they wanted to be in VIP was like empty. And it's like, that seems like a better section to me. Anyway, that's my take on the Costco executive branch. Now, if you want to be in the Costco legislative branch where you can actually make the Costco rules, you can come in at 8 a.m. and you can actually decide on how large the cart should be. The last meeting of the Costco legislative membership branch, which included me, I brought in a measuring tape, and we're deciding should it be 10 feet long or 12 feet long, the new design for the Costco shopping cart. I decided 12 because then you could actually fit a full basketball hoop in the cart, and when you took it home, you wouldn't have to change the dimensions of it. Also, you could fit your entire family in the cart while they ate. So hopefully if they're in there long enough, they have to go in for seconds. They eat the 50-pound drum of Chex Mix as they walk around shopping for other things. And by the time they check out, the Chex Mix is done and they have to go back and get another 50 pounds for when they're back at home. Anyway, another thing I noticed, before I had a family and moved to this townhouse in the desert, I was a single man and I lived more in the city in San Diego, you know what I mean? More in the area that's kind of like a lot of people jogging, a lot of liberal people, a lot of gay people, things like that. And the grocery store that I shopped at was Sprouts. There's a huge section where you can buy mushroom supplements for $50 a pill. Cucumbers are $35 a pack. $35 a cucumber. If you want to buy grapes, you actually have to you have to refinance your house if you want to buy a box of grapes. It's a really expensive grocery store with really nice produce, and it's a health food kind of environment. But now, when you compare the actual humans that shop at Sprouts versus the humans that shop at my local Costco, you would question whether or not these are actually the same species. One of them is like Humanus homoeus erectus, and one of them is like Humanus. I said gay. I don't know why it's funny, but anyway, the other one is like Humanus enormous. What the fuck do you call it? What's the opposite of erectus when you talk about how somebody stands? So there's Humanus homo erectus that shop proudly and only take up a little bit of space in between the aisles at the Sprouts over there in North Park in San Diego. You spend $300 a week on healthy cucumbers and alfalfa sprouts. And then there's Homo enormous slumpicus that shop at the local Costco here and spend the same amount for their. Well, they spend the same amount, but they just get more. It's kind of a quantity versus quality argument we're talking about here when we're comparing Costco to Sprouts. But I can tell you this: I think, say what you will about the healthcare system in the United States of America, we know that it's unjust. We know that it's too expensive, and we know that the people that sell this health insurance are making way more money than they should. Same with the pharmaceuticals and all that. But I will say this: if we're going to continue the same system, I don't think that the people that, if you shop at Costco versus you shop at Sprouts, the people that shop at Sprouts should pay less money into the health insurance pool. You know, I'm walking around Costco and I can just see that these people are going to need much more medical assistance than the people that shop at Sprouts, that are really, when they shop at Sprouts and they go to the supplements department, they're buying like echinacea mixed with turmeric or whatever, you know, get a couple riboflavin shakes. I think these people are basically doing themselves a doctorial service, whereas the people that go into Costco, that already off top they got to take the electric wheelchair, just already using energy, And when they buy the 5-gallon Home Depot Homer bucket, fittingly colored, to buy orange soda, a bucket full of orange soda. Everything is orange. When you go to Sprouts, you buy a couple orange things. You might buy carrots. You might buy oranges. You might even buy an orange pepper. Now, if you're the Costco version of this, you buy a lot of orange things too. You buy orange soda. You buy Cheetos. You buy really any Doritos flavor, whether it be Cool Ranch, the classic nacho cheese, or even one of the wide variety of new spicy flavors that are all essentially based on what the fuck is that shit called? Flamin' Hot Cheetos. There's 50 new flavors of Doritos that are just a slightly different version of Flaming Hot Cheetos, and if you can't tell me that fucking red powder that they put on Flaming Hot Cheetos doesn't take at least a year off the average human life. That shit is not something that you're supposed to put in your body. That's not something that you find in nature. I'm surprised it doesn't make you hallucinate. That fucking red powder that's on every chip nowadays. I feel like it's interesting that as humanity gets further and further along, there was this documentary on Netflix about the places where people live the longest. The most centenarians or whatever, people that live over 100, there's all these little pockets in the world where people live really long. A lot of them are islands in Greece and islands off of Japan where people kind of eat organically and they garden, and the lifestyle that they live is just something that promotes people to live for a long time. And one of them was, I believe in Belize, but it was somewhere in Central America. It might have been Costa Rica actually, but they were like, this used to be like this. Now everybody eats fucking Doritos and drinks soda, and the lifespan is going down. It's amazing to me that as humanity goes on, we kind of reached the limit of how high a lifespan can be, and now it's actually starting to go down because people just want to eat sugar and people want to make money selling corn syrup. Anyway, that might drastically change soon when people, like, I guess, insert their personality into some kind of AI robot. That's what's happening, I guess. I don't know why anybody would listen to this podcast. Anyway, the Costco versus Sprouts comparison, I think, is about done. I was saying that the orange products you buy at these places are drastically different from each other. But yeah, I'm just saying the person that eats Sprouts orange stuff should probably pay less money for health insurance than the person that eats orange stuff. It's basically a natural orange versus an artificial orange from Costco. But since I am in a family, me and my wife and my daughter are a family unit. So when we buy a Costco membership, I think even my 2-year-old daughter, if she wanted to, could roll in there with a card, get herself an enormous cart, and go in there and buy. If she went in there and bought the stuff that she wanted, she would spend a long time in the milk section and a long time in the juice section, and then waddle her way out into the parking lot and get run over because she doesn't have her parents with her. Anyway, I'm saying that I am an executive member of Costco because my wife is an executive member of Costco. We are both members of the YMCA, and I occasionally go to the YMCA to very with not as much effort put into it as I should. I do go to the YMCA sometimes now and work out. I'll get on the elliptical machine and lift a couple weights, but it's vigorous. I'm not as vigorous with my workout as I probably should be. Anyway, my wife's never even been to that YMCA, but she's a member, just like I'm a member of Costco. But I go to Costco sometimes. Anyway, I'm in a family now. I am a member of a family. We have a daughter. She is almost 2. She'll be 2 in December, and it's interesting having a daughter. I was saying the other day that having a young kid is like having it's like being in a hostage situation with really low stakes. Like you can't leave You have to do whatever they say, and she kind of is holding you hostage with her own needs at all times, like demanding things. I'm working on trying not to make my daughter spoiled. It's going to be difficult, especially because I think we're just going to have the one. So she's going to already be an only child. And I'm already the age of a grandparent. And you know how grandparents are. They just give the kid whatever they want. I'm already on that. Every time I see my daughter, I say the same thing to her. I'm like, man, you're awesome. You're the best. Her name's Rumi, Rumi. I'm like, damn, Rumi, you're the best. I love you, Rumi. You're the best. Yeah, I'd give you whatever you want. I say stuff like that to her. And I think that she's going to be spoiled. But, some people that have that level of being spoiled and being confident, there's a thin line there. So hopefully she'll just be super confident. And once she gets older, I'll still try to instill hardworking values into her. I think one of the best things you can do as a parent, building confidence means, they believe in themselves and they believe they're great, but you also have to make them work for stuff. So once she gets old enough to work, I'm going to make her work. She got to do stuff around the house. If she turns whatever age you need, 14, 15, or 16, whatever age it is now that you can be to have a job, I'll make sure that she gets a job so she knows you got to work hard to get money. My shit. Now I'm all like self-conscious about the way that I look on this camera. I'm shaking and stuff. Had too much coffee today. But yeah, did I write down anything else here? Did I write down any other genius things? Execs play bass. That's the phrase that I wrote down. Execs play bass. And I said this to somebody and they laughed and they're like, you should make that a thing. I don't know what make that a thing means because I don't do stand-up anymore. I did stand-up for a while. That's another thing that changed since I did my last podcast. When the pandemic happened, I stopped doing stand-up comedy and then I never got back into it. So I'm a little rusty just being able to talk like this anyway. But execs play bass means that if you're in the music industry and somebody's like a suit, somebody's like an A&R guy at a record label, or they work at a publishing company, or they're a music supervisor that's trying to get your music into movies or whatever. A lot of times they'll be like, oh, I get it, dude. I'm a musician too. Oh, no, I'm not like the other suits, and I'm a musician too, so I get it. And I said that every time somebody says that, they play bass. You'd be like, oh, you're a musician too? What do you play there? I was like, yeah, bass. And it's because bass has a very low barrier to entry. This is why like the illest people, like people that are really, really artistic and are almost kind of like artistic to the point of insanity, they play instruments like bass too, because they're like, oh, that's the instrument, or like a ukulele. They'll be like, that's the instrument that anybody, harmonica, percussion, that's the instrument that anybody can kind of start. But I'll show y'all. I'll take this fucking thing that's has a really lower barrier to entry and just be a master. Rollerblading. Bass or ukulele is like the rollerblading of stringed instruments. Like if you don't want to take the time to learn how to ollie, you can get started pretty fast with rollerblades because they're connected to your feet and you just jump. So ukulele, your first hour on it, you've already learned how to play a couple chords, and you can switch the chords pretty easily because it's not as hard as guitar. I'm not saying guitar is rocket science either, but it takes more time than a ukulele or a bass. A bass, you don't even have to learn chords. You just have to learn the root note of the chords. So people that are truly gifted and creative and weirdos, they'll master the shit out of instruments like that. The didgeridoo or juggling or whatever it is. Juggling was a bad example, but yeah, music executives that say they try to empathize with you and say like, I get it, dude. I'm a musician too. They always play bass, and they don't play bass like Les Claypool. They play bass like the unnamed bass player that played in all those bands from the 90s that are like the genre of music that my wife actually grew up listening to, that me and my brother. My wife's a little bit younger than me, so she grew up. What's that? Like fucking Goo Goo Dolls and Third Eye Blind and those kind of bands, like bass play, that kind of bass playing. We just go doom 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 doom. I guess you still have to have some kind of rhythm to do it, but Yeah, executives play bass. And a lot of times music executives and managers and publishing, all these people that work in the music industry, um, they don't always understand artists, man. I was just talking about this with somebody. There's some the reason why musicians have to team with managers and have to team with business people is because artists don't look at life the way that business people look at life. Anybody that you've ever met in the music industry that's a manager, except this isn't true because my current manager is not like this. And I just told him one of the reasons I like him is because he actually understands how artists are, that they're just like these weird emotional people. And most people in the music industry that aren't artists, that manage artists and things like that, they're always like the same kind of dude. They're like, everything is a sports metaphor. They love sports, they watch sports, they have their favorite teams, they get really, really emotional over sports. They want to tell you the story about the sports because life is about winning and losing. And the music industry is the same way. You just want to win. And with art, it's not really winning and losing. You're just expressing yourself through your songs. You might have a song that's a hit and a song that's not a hit, but the song that's not a hit, that doesn't mean that it didn't express how you feel adequately enough. So in speaking of what I just said, a lot of managers that think of life as winning and losing. If you made a song that's a hit and a song that's not a hit, why would you even want to make another song that's anything that's not a hit if you have the ability to make a hit? But artists don't see it that way. They make the shit to express themselves. And true artists, like I guess myself, would be making the shit if nobody listened to it anyway. If nobody listened to the music that I made, I would still make it. Kind of like the fact that I don't have any chance of being a pro Scrabble player, if that's even a thing. It probably is. I don't have a chance of being a pro Scrabble player, but I'll still play. You know, I enjoy playing golf. I'm never going to be in the PGA Tour, and I'm not worried about my game in that way. I just like doing it. So I guess that I would do music in that same way, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat. I might not take it as seriously. What else did I write down? Did I write down anything else? The only other thing I wrote down was so what has happened to since my last podcast? Not much really, and that whole thing was sarcastic in terms of like all the crazy shit that's going on in the world. I don't even recognize the American government, the whole system. And I want to make sure, I know me starting a podcast, especially a podcast, or restarting my old podcast, especially one with video, and in the modern climate, people that have podcasts think that they're fucking political leaders or whatever. I'm actually not really going to do political stuff on this podcast. I'm not gonna even do it. I give up. My new political stance is apathy because I just don't to pay attention to politics and to pay attention to anything in the modern world is so fucking draining. Just to look at the news or even just to look at your own social media like feed, it's just draining. It's emotionally exhausting and it's spiritually draining. And I'm trying to stay away from that stuff and just, maybe as my life moves on, I'll just move more and more and more into the fucking desert or forest, and just try to get away from, other human beings. Or, what's sad though is like most people actually are cool, but the small percentage of people that ruin fucking everything are always going to be the most powerful people and the most scary people and the most violent people and the power hungry people. And most of us just want to be at peace, but we can't because of these motherfuckers, man. And I've given up fighting. I know that might be something that comes with a little bit of privilege, you know. I wasn't born in fucking a war-torn country. You know, maybe soon this country will be a war-torn country. I have a lot of advantages in my life, but I'm getting old. I have a family. I just want to go to the playground. You know what I'm saying? I just want to go to the playground. And maybe eventually when my daughter gets into college and I'm a fucking million years old, after she's in high school and I'm trying to run around on the soccer field when I'm 60. Corner kick. I try to run out and show her how to kick the ball. I fall down and break my fucking tibia, whatever the fuck. Fucking rupture my meniscus. My meniscus falls into my spleen and my spleen shatters my already diseased liver. Just trying to kick the goddamn soccer ball, running around that field when I'm 61 years old. Hopefully by the time that I'm 63-ish and my daughter's out of the house, hopefully me and my wife can have enough time to go on a Royal Norwegian cruise ship or something and just go hang out in Copenhagen, Denmark, or something. I just want to enjoy the rest of my life is what I'm saying, y'all. I feel like I'm just getting started in my career and I'm already close to retirement age. I'm at least close to retirement mindset. I would love to just retire, man. Although I do love making music. I do love what I do, man, but some of the stuff that comes along with it can be pretty stressful, dude. Some of the stuff that comes along with it can be stressful. Here's what I wish. I wish that if I put out a flyer that said I have a show, it would just immediately sell out. And I don't have to worry about selling tickets. I don't have to worry about promoting it. I just have fun and do the show full of a sold-out crowd. And I wish that when I put out a song, it got 1 billion streams. And I would just buy a mansion in the middle of nowhere. And not in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to be... I'd still like people. You know what I want to live at is like a little town... like a converted coal, used to be a gold rush town in Northern California somewhere. And now it just has a pleasant downtown where the senior citizens sit outside of the coffee shop and talk about what used to be. And, I walk by and say, "What's up?" I've always been like this. I just kind of want to be an old person, forever. Every morning I want to go to the local diner. And on Tuesdays I get Eggs Benedict. And on Wednesdays, I get an avocado and bacon omelet. And on Thursdays, I just get a yogurt parfait or something like that. And they know me by my first name. I don't even have to order. They're like, "Oh, it's Thursday. He's having his yogurt parfait again." And then now it'll be me and my wife. And we'll just slowly get older and, hopefully maintain some level of physical health so we can at least walk. Don't need to run. There's no need to run. Just walk. And then I'm just already ready for retirement is what I'm saying, y'all. I don't have a crazy drive. I think I do want to be comfortable financially. But I really just want to have my studio, make my songs, and go to the diner. All I want to do is go to diners. That's all I want to do. And I don't even need to go to diners. I just need to go to one. If there was a local one where they knew my name and knew what I ordered on Tuesdays, I just went there. But, in this hypothetical world, I don't have a job. So I wake up in the morning and I do a workout to get my blood flowing, to make sure that all my joints and my bones are still somewhat active and productive. And then I go to the diner and I get my daily whatever I got that day. Yogurt parfait on Thursdays. Maybe Friday I get the steak and eggs. Saturday and Sunday as a wild card I go eat somewhere else. This is only during the week. The way that other people go to work, I go to the diner. Post my mini gym thing, so I'm still keeping up my staying relatively limber. And then for the rest of the day, I just make my songs. That sounds like a dream life to me. And every once in a while, me and my wife go on a a cruise, not a Caribbean cruise, a northern cruise. Old people should go. Old people like go to an Alaskan cruise, or like a cruise up in Norway. You know, I don't need to go to the fucking Bahamas. I'd rather go to I only know two northern cruise destinations. There's Alaska and then the Norwegian area. Would you call? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not my geography in the Norwegian region is not very good. It's Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden. But is that? I mean, is it? I don't know. What's the name of the sea up there? Is it the Norwegian Strait? I can't remember. I've never been up there, y'all. I've never been. I've been to Copenhagen, Denmark. I did a show in Copenhagen, Denmark once. It was one of my favorite shows I ever did. I just remember that the show was in this little club that was packed, and it was me. I was playing with Watsky. It was me then Watsky. But what was cool about this show is that it was like it was downstairs. It was like an underground club, like the way clubs are in New York. Sometimes you have to go downstairs to get in there. And it was a packed, relatively small club, and the people were really, really stoked about EOM. He was my DJ on that tour, and they were. I think he was a big deal for them, and they were like EOM. EOM. So it was just exciting. I don't know. But yeah, one time I went to Copenhagen, Denmark, had a cool show at a club, and I ate at a Mexican restaurant in Copenhagen, Denmark, which was not good. It was not a good Mexican restaurant. It was a Mexican restaurant as if like a Dane, as if like a dude from Denmark, as if somebody from Denmark went to Taco Bell and was like, let me recreate the Mexican restaurant that I had in Wichita Falls. It was, yeah, like a person from Denmark went to Wichita Falls for their high school year as a foreign exchange student, and they experienced Taco Bell, and they're like, I love this place. I'm gonna start an authentic Mexican restaurant when I get back in Copenhagen. And it was like almost, it was trying to be Taco Bell. It wasn't even as good as Taco Bell, but I do remember that it was like, it just wasn't good. It was definitely a ground beef with just a tortilla right out the bag, some orange cheese. It's funny, like I thought it was bad, but now that I'm like, I must be hungry because I'm visualizing this hypothetical Wichita Falls based taco that I had in Copenhagen. It sounds fucking good after the fact, It sounds really good now, but it wasn't good at the time, It's like a relationship that I've been in the past that was like this. I used to talk about this a lot of times when you're in a bad relationship, as time goes on and on and on and on and on, like, and you kind of start to sort of get over the negative heartbreaks, opinion of it, like you kind of romanticize that relationship in your mind on accident. You only remember the good things. You don't remember, like, you there's always some good things in a relationship. You wouldn't be in there if not, even if it's just like sex stuff and we both liked the same TV show or something. Then a year after, you'd be like, damn, that was kind of nice with the sex stuff and the TV show. Remember we used to sit down and watch The Office or whatever TV show you guys watched together? But you forget about how you would constantly argue, or maybe she cheated on you or something like that. Those things kind of go away. I used to say that, remembering these bad relationships and looking back at it and only remembering the positive, that'd be like if the only thing you knew about World War II was the movie A League of Their Own. No Hitler, no Hiroshima, just adorable women playing baseball. This was a bit I used to do. I used to say, no Rosie the Riveter, just Rosie O'Donnell, the riveting. No Anne Frank in a hideout, just Tom Hanks in a dugout. I used to that thing used to be a bit, the whole like looking back and only seeing the positive things. But that is true in the case of this non-hypothetical taco, because I did have this taco. I remember I was by myself. We had like a weird like Airbnb-ish kind of hotel place, and it was nearby this taco shop, and it was like for some reason I was by myself. This must have been 2014 because that's when me and Watsky did a co-headlining tour of the States and Europe. It was funny because it was a co-headlining tour, but a lot of times when you do a co-headlining tour, you realize by the end of it that one of the people is the headliner and the other person's the opener. In this case, I was the opener. I've been on several tours like that. There was probably one tour that was the opposite, where I did a co-headlining tour that it turned out that I probably was the headliner. But sometimes you got to go to know, and sometimes it's different every show. But alas, those were certain days, and today is other days. So this would be around the time in my podcast that I would answer questions. I would stop and I would pull up questions out of my email, and I would start to base my podcast around those questions. But I don't have any new questions because I haven't done my podcast in 6 years. People might send me a long question about their life, Like I will say that I have a friend who hit me up today, and he found out that his girl is pregnant, maybe wife. I don't know if they're married, but they're pregnant. And he was like, I want to talk to you about, what you went through and things like that. Because when my wife was pregnant, I shared many of my feelings with him. And I remember when my wife was pregnant, I was super scared. I was really intimidated and worried about, would I be able to be a good dad? Would I be able to, balance my work life shit? I don't know. I just remember being really scared of the whole process. But then once the kid's in the world, the fear kind of goes away. An interesting thing about having a kid is like the fear goes away because you're just so in it all the time. And even like, I used to be a kind of a really depressed person. I used to always be like sad, and I still am to a degree. I mean, part of that, the absence of my huge depression had to do with me being, the fact that I don't drink anymore, I think was a big help. But another thing is like when you have a kid, you don't have time to do that. If you're, no matter what you're doing, if you're really busy, you don't really have time to be in your own head about shit. And having a kid might be the ultimate version of that. So that's me answering a question that I think that I might get from somebody who's like, hey, I'm about to have a kid. What's it like? I don't know what it's like, dude. But I've had a kid for almost 2 years, and it feels like I've always had a kid in a weird way. But right now, she's starting to really like, I know somebody who has a daughter, and they were like a year ahead of me. And I remember like a year ago, they were like, wait till she starts saying dada and like being sad when you leave. Like it's going to be a whole new level. And in my head, I'm like, oh, really? A whole new level? But it is. It's a whole new level. And especially for somebody like me that has been doing a lot of shows and has a lot of shows coming up, and I have to leave. I already feel guilty about leaving because it leaves, when I go on tour, like my wife has to do all the shit. It has to do all the responsibilities. And it's not like my wife is just like a housewife and her whole thing is that she just like an old school woman of the past. She's not a woman of the past where it was just all household and birth and babies. My wife has a job, and I wish that the wax musical empire could retire my wife, and hopefully one day it will. Hopefully one day I have a song that makes $1 gazillion and my wife can retire and we'll just go on to the Alaskan cruise ship or whatever. But until then, we both work, and I can't remember. See, that's another thing about aging, y'all. Is like it's already bad enough that I'm just rambling. It's another thing where it's like I can't remember what I was saying 3 seconds ago, so I just kind of go from topic to topic. And it's not like in a linear way. It's more like in a bumper car or a pinball machine way. It's like going from topic to topic and probably never returning to the interstate that you were on previously. I don't remember why I started talking about my wife. Something about me being a dad. They also say there's like when you become a dad, you become more forgetful. There's a word for it. I think it's just dad brain. You're more likely to forget shit. Like, you leave the house and you're like, fuck, I forgot my keys. Fuck, I forgot my wallet. Where's my blah? That becomes, there's something in having a kid that makes that happen more often. I don't really know the fucking reason, but I know that I've heard people say that, and I can feel it. And also in my old age, I can feel that I can't think of words the way I used to. I'm not as quick as I used to. I'm not as sharp as I used to. Just like the way that it's really easy to notice physically. Like if I go on a long walk, like if I go on a hike, my left knee gets fucked up. That's just what it is. And all you people out there they're like, yeah, you're just a pussy. You gotta go to the gym. Like I try to go to the gym. I don't know what fucking exercise can make my left knee joint not get fucked up after a long walk. I don't know what that is. I have a song called Shit I Used to Do on my latest album, which came out like a year ago. I don't know. It's very new compared to when my latest podcast came out. But there's a verse on there about getting old. And I talk about how I can't skateboard anymore. My body's starting to fall apart. And I didn't realize that it was a controversial verse, but I've done all these content pieces for it on my Instagram. And some of them actually kind of blew up. Like some of them kind of caught the algorithm and went viral a little bit. So you find out when that happens, like what random people in the ether, the random citizens of the zeitgeist think about your fucking 1 minute long clip that's all they know you from. So I realized that the idea that you're getting old and you feel your body falling apart, if you express that idea, especially in a way that could be looked at as like sad or defeatist, there's a legion of people out there that will be offended by that. And they'll make comments about it, comments that make me try to just not read comments anymore, which is kind of where I'm at with the internet. Try not to read comments on my own videos. So, I probably miss a lot of positive comments just in not trying to focus on weirdo comments. But what I discovered is there's a genre of human being, and I'm not saying anything negative about these people. In fact, I actually admire them. There's a genre of human being that is like average 55 years old, ripped. They're gym rats. They're in the gym all the time, and they wear shirts that say things like anything is possible, just like inspirational gym shirts, And if you look at your own body or look at life as like, oh, I'm getting older and it's harder to do things, like that's just the wrong way to look at life. You can never feel yourself getting older because you just need to work harder and work out at the gym. And I'm 55 and I'm just as healthy as I was. I'm best shape of my life or whatever. And it's like, well, good for you. You're still gonna fucking die. I guarantee you're not gonna live forever, unless you insert your personality into an AI robot, which is what people say they're gonna do. I still don't think that's the same as living forever, even if you do that. Like, I don't know that you can convert your consciousness into a. Now I'm getting into weeds that are deeper than I can handle. I don't really know much about AI. I think that's the line for me. Understanding how artificial intelligence works is like where I go, okay. It's almost like I heard a rap song recently that was like a modern rap song, and it was like a weird sad melody kind of thing, and I was like, okay, that's as far as I go. I can't understand new music anymore. Like the only music I can understand is shit that harkens back to the hip hop that I know or the funk or this music that I know. There's a certain level where I go like, okay, I don't understand that, and I'm too old to venture back into it. You know what I mean? And that's where, for me, with technology in general, like my mom doesn't send text messages. I'm not going to probably use artificial intelligence. That's kind of where I'm at in life. My grandparents didn't ever have a cell phone. Probably, they probably they never had a computer, Their grandparents didn't have cable. Their grandparents didn't have a radio. Their grandparents didn't have cars. Their grandparents, the printing press was new or whatever it is. Mine will be artificial intelligence. And I probably also will be murdered by an army of artificial intelligence robots that specifically target me because of my lack of knowledge. And the only people that they want left on this world are the people that can find them their batteries or whatever. I got to make sure this is still running. My fucking computer just went off. It's still fucking running. I don't know how long I've been doing this. I can't tell from here. My computer's so far away, so I don't know how long this podcast is. But I don't have the questions, so this is about what I got for today, y'all. Wax's podcast. I believe this is episode 174 after a 6-year hiatus. So if you're into this podcast, or if you're one of the people that wanted me to continue my podcast from back in the day that talked to me and said, dude, why'd you stop doing your podcast? And I essentially created a better way of saying I'm lazy, or I might have just told you I'm lazy, or it's just a lot to do. Here it is. I'm back. And my boy Quinn is going to put it up. He's going to do he was like, do your podcast. I will partner with you on this. I'll do any of the editing. I'll make little social media clips out of your main podcast clip. I will be the person that uploads it. Maybe in the future, if this starts to go well, maybe we'll try to monetize it somehow. Maybe I'll read some sponsored ads. What was that? I had one sponsor before that was just like a fan had a company. I can't remember what it was. Fuck. It was something to do with weed. But now you can actually, I think my podcast was pre-monetization of your podcast just based on streams. So I'm in a whole uncharted territory here, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, Wax's podcast. Maybe I'll try to search through my old hard drive for some of the old intros. I had all the intro music that people sent me over the years. I don't remember what year I started my podcast, but shout out to everybody out there that used to listen to my podcast. Shout out to anybody who didn't know I had a podcast. Shout out to anybody who loves my enormous, probably looking kneecaps based on the depth perception of this video. And I probably look like I have a small head and an enormous kneecap, right? I don't know, but that's how depth perception works. I love the word depth. Words like that I love. I did a rap recently because I just wanted to say disc golf. Because disc golf has a weird combination of consonants. Disc golf. Because if you say it real fast, disc golf, it's more like disc off, like disc golf. Let's go play disc golf. And also, by the way, I live near a disc golf course. And first of all, it's funny that the genre of human being that plays disc golf is almost identical to the genre of human being that comes to my shows. Like everybody that I see, I'm like, damn, these all look like Wax fans. So I need to get into the disc golf community and maybe get sponsored by some disc golf stuff. Maybe I could have some discs, or with disc golf, the only thing you really need is the discs. Anyway, I love words like that have weird I used to love when people would say, yo, did you edit that thing yet? Yeah, I already edited it. Edited it? Yeah, I already edited it. Anyway, speaking of editing it, I am going to stop this podcast and end it. And hopefully next week I'll be back with even more triumphant of a return. That's Wax's podcast. Be safe out there.